I think it's about that time again. As I did last season, something I very much enjoyed was creating custom home kits for each Premier League team. So that's what we're doing here today. Now, bearing in mind, I know this video will be releasing by the time that all their shirts have been released, but I made this video when there were just leaks. There were barely any official shirts out when I put these shirts together, so there may be some coincidences between what I've made and what we actually received. But yeah, less yapping, let's just jump straight into it. We're going in alphabetical order. We're going to start off with Arsenal. This is what I designed for Arsenal. I will admit, it was loosely based on the Erstly Arsenal leaks, but I just used that for the blue panels on the front, to be honest, as well as the Canon logo, of course. I took the elements that I most like to see from an Arsenal shirt, and that is those lightning bolt designs. The lightning bolts fade throughout the main body of the shirt, creating a modern take on a classic Arsenal design. I added more blue accents on the retro style collar and on the cuffs to complete the design. As I love those little designs on the back, just around the neck area, I've opted to put the Arsenal badge from the Fortis just under the collar, which I think was class, if I do say so myself. Now, there's a theme you'll see throughout many of the kits on here. A lot of them will have that little back of the neck design because it's just a design feature that I really like to see on football shirts. But I think when there's a bit of effort put into that, I think it can really top off a lovely shirt. So you'll see that a lot throughout these designs, even if manufacturers or teams don't normally do that. Alright, and then moving on to Aston Villa. I think this is what Adidas' first kit for the villains should have looked like. I took inspiration from a retro Villa shirt for the main design of this one, but modernised it for this Adidas template. I used 2 different shades of claret for the stripes, with pinstripes on each side to just add a bit more to the kit. It's all well and good having stripes, but I feel like these little blue pinstripes just add a little extra touch to that design. I centralised the crest and the Adidas logo and put them in that central stripe, which I think looks very nice, and I made use of that yellow tertiary colour as well. I then opted to utilise that blue colour more for the sleeves and the collar, with claret stripes and a little bit of claret on the cuffs as well. I feel like the blue may be a little bit overpowering, but overall I think they've created a very clean shirt design, and we've added a cheeky little AVFC on the back to really tie everything together. Honestly, I'm a sucker for centralised crests, and if you've seen any of my other shirt videos, you'll know that, and I just think a shirt can look so much better if you just centralise the logo and the crest. So, we've seen more of it this season, to be fair. A lot more teams have done it than usual, which is nice to see, but I think Villa could have done so as well. And then we move on to Bournemouth. Now, I always find myself struggling when it comes to designing a kit for a team that uses stripes, as I feel that I need to make the design interesting in some way. For this one, I opted to go for a more classic design, utilising thick stripes as could be seen in some of their early shirts. I added some thinner white lines for added flavour, as well as some thinner black lines too, just to break up the shirt a bit. I used those stripes to align the Umbro logo and the crest, and I think they look very nice. I utilised the Cherry's new retro style logo as part of the pattern found within the black stripes to add a bit more pizzazz to the shirt. I think it was just too plain without this little cherry pattern seen throughout the stripes, but a little sublimated cherry design on the black aspects. Oh, wow. Could look phenomenal. Aside from the dreadful sponsor that Bournemouth have chosen to go with this season, I feel like I've created a very smart shirt for the Cherries. And as much as I may not like them, they can rock a solid shirt. And then move on to Brentford. Now, I can see this shirt dividing quite a few opinions, because for Brentford, I've opted to do something complete out of the ordinary for the Bees. Traditionally, Brentford have used red and white stripes. This time around, I decided to switch it up and just go for one central stripe. I feel the overall design of the shirt gives me a retro feel, so I decided to play on that and really lean into a more retro style design you could have seen. I decided to centralise the club's crest and the Umbro logo, and I think it makes for a pretty nice design containing everything within that central stripe, if I do say so myself. I gave the red element of this shirt a retro pattern, something similar to the patterns you'd find on old Umbro shirts, which I think are lovely, and it's really retro vibes all around. And you know what? If I say so myself, it's an out there, but it's a nice Brentford shirt. May not have the stripes that you have come to recognise, but hey, I think it looks cool. And then move on to Brighton Hove Albion. Now, with Brighton, I wanted to make a return to the largely blue home shirts they used in the past. I've always been a fan of that 2021 home shirt for that exact reason. I think it looks brilliant. And that shirt was the main inspiration behind this design. Instead of just white pinstripes, I wanted to include more yellow within the design of the shirt, so alternated them across the shirt using both yellow and white pinstripes. I know I said in my ranking of home shirts video that I want to see more yellow on Brighton shirts, and I feel like this is a nice way to do so. I opted to use that new night collar that we saw on both the England and Brazil shirts, as well as many of the shirts as well, as I think it complements the design really well. And then to add a little bit of flavour, I added a faint triangle pattern throughout the body of the shirt. I'd say this is a very classy shirt from the Seagulls, and something that they should consider cooking up, you know. Hit my line, guys, you know where to find me. I'll cook you a brilliant shirt, trust. And that goes for any team, by the way, you know. I know there's someone watching who's like a designer for fucking Everton or something. Just give me a call, man. Give me a call, we'll cook up something brilliant. And then move on to Chelsea. Now, I'll be honest here, Chelsea stumped me a bit, as I wasn't really sure what I could do for them. Now, I didn't want all my designs to be retro-inspired. I feel like it is very lazy, and you could easily just fall down a rabbit hole there. So, I went for this interesting design. However, I have since found out that Chelsea have used hoops in some of their past designs. So, yeah. Don't shoot the messenger, guys. It was not inspired by those kits, I can assure you. I was mostly inspired by their 22-23 away shirt, if I'm honest. You know, with the little line design throughout the hoops. I thought that was quite nice. I went with these abstract lines in a darker shaded blue to create those hoops, and I think it was pretty funky. I like to think that it somewhat represents waves, which links back to the old Stamford Creek that used to run alongside Stamford Bridge way back. I'm also a fan of when Chelsea use orange on their home shirts. There's been a severe lack of that recently, so I made sure to include some of that here, even if it is just the cuffs and the Nike logo. I wasn't sure if Chelsea were keeping Infinite Athletic as their sponsor, but made sure to centre it on that top middle hoop just in case. It now appears that they're not using this sponsor for the coming season, but who actually knows? So it's here for now, but could easily be removed for fucking whatever the next sponsor they get, like Tesco or something, who knows. And then move on to Crystal Palace. For Crystal Palace, it was another team that I wanted to create a design for that wasn't just retro inspired. This design was loosely inspired by street art designs that can be found around the SE25 area, which is where the club are based. This is represented by the blue painterly style stripes that can be seen across the shirt. I added triangular designs within the red elements of the shirt to just make things a little bit more interesting as well. The Net 88 sponsor is not great, but unfortunately that's who Palace chose for their sponsor, so I can't really change that. I also thought there was a distinct lack of yellow on their recent home shirts, so I brought that back as a tertiary colour on the cuffs and collar, and I think it was very nice. I think I did well to sort of emulate, I guess, that sort of street art style that you may see around the SC25 area, and I'm pretty proud of how it turned out, you know. I think it's pretty nice. And then move on to Everton. When it comes to Everton, an element of their shirts that I love is their simplified Rupert's Tower design, which they've started using a lot in recent years. I don't think the design gets enough love, as there's potential to be a very interesting design element. I used that design to create a shirt inspired by their 83-85 home shirt. I went for a thick collar and cuffs to give it more of a retro feel, and then added some dots to the collar and cuffs as a retro design element. The stripes of the shirt were created using that Rupert's Tower simplified design, which I think looks very nice. The sponsor of the shirt is terrible, but in white, it colour matches the overall design, which makes it slightly more bearable. But all in all, I think I've created a very nice shirt, utilising those new design elements that Everton have brought in to, you know, create a throwback to a retro shirt, which I think looks pretty good, if I do say so myself, of course. And then move on to Fulham. Now, Fulham normally boast quite a clean shirt, and I wanted to continue that trend here. I was inspired by quite a few different Fulham shirts when cooking up this kit, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. One of my favourite elements of past Fulham shirts was the 97-98 home shirt and its checkered collar and cuffs. I just had to include that here. I opted to go with this unique black and red striped design on the chest of the shirt, and I centralised the logo and crest within those stripes as well. Again, I'm not a fan of the sponsor, but I've tried to make it look as good as possible. I utilised the new Adidas template to add a bit more black to the home shirt, and I think all in all it creates a very cohesive design. Retro Fulham logo on the back to complete the shirt, bosh. Fulham, you know, they normally have quite classy kits, and I think I've completed another classy kit here. Especially that checkered collar and cuffs, man. They are just, wow, they look so good. Please bring it back, Fulham. I know you're big fans, so just, you know, hit my line. And then move on to Ipswich Town, Premier League new boys. The Tractor Boys are back in the Premier League after a couple decades, and I had to go with a retro-inspired design to welcome them back. As I'm sure you've noticed by now, I'm a pinstripe merchant, and I'll hold my hands up and agree, I fucking love some pinstripes. And I think Ipswich are a team that really suits pinstripes on their shirts. To make the body of the shirt a bit more interesting, I added a vertical gradient design, which I think just adds a little bit extra to that body of the shirt to make it just a little less plain. I know we've got pinstripes, but this little gradient element as well is a nice touch in my opinion. I added to that design with a retro style collar, which matches their cuffs. I opted to use the Umbro 2024 Centenary logo in a red and white colourway to go along with the 3 stars, which I decided to bring back to the front of the shirt with one in red to represent the UEFA Cup win. Ipswich with a European trophy, big club. But yeah, I've always said that I like the star elements on the Ipswich shirts, and I think instead of just keeping them around the back, while I do love a back shirt design, just get them back on the front and pride of place, put them with the Ipswich logo, man. And that's what I decided to do here. And I think having one of the stars in red just to represent that European trophy is just, acknowledges what Ipswich have done in their past. And I think that's very important for teams that people may not consider to be big teams, but actually have quite a bit of history, So anything to implement that into a design, I'm happy to do. And I think I did so here, in my own humble opinion. And then move on to Leicester City. Now, I do want to preface this with, you can only do so much with an awful sponsor. The Fox's newest sponsor is awful, but we have to work with it. So, if we can just ignore that and just focus on the rest of the shirt, that'd be brilliant. I wanted to add some design to the kit, as I didn't just want to be a plain blue shirt. So I opted to use this geometric design that appears on one half of the shirt, almost creating sort of half and half design. I also wanted to implement some more orange onto their shirt, as that's something a lot of their latest shirts have been lacking in my opinion, much like Chelsea kits. I worked that colour into the collar and the cuffs as a very nice accent colour, and I think it just looks lovely. I also made sure to utilise the Tiro template to its fullest extent and add some more white elements to the shirt, as I felt the blue was getting a bit overpowering at points. I topped it all off with a retro Fox logo on the back of the shirt to really complete the look. And you know what? I may not be the biggest fan of Leicester, but I think I've created them a very nice shirt. One that's definitely better than whatever the fuck Adidas decided to give them this season. You'd been better off keeping your shirt from last season, lads, to be honest, because that was quite nice. But the game is the game, and you got shafted. But hey, I fixed it for you guys. You got a good shirt here. It's not too late to change. And then move on to Liverpool. Now, I've wanted to see Liverpool make a return to the darker red that they were using a couple of years back, and I decided to combine that with gold to create a very classy shirt. In my own humble opinion, of course. I do enjoy when Liverpool opt to use a deep red in their shirts, which is something we haven't seen a lot of, but I feel makes for a really classy design when paired with the right colours. I went with a diamond design in the body of the shirt to harken back to their iconic 89-91 shirts, which feature a similar design, especially that away shirt. And I just think they're some of the most iconic Liverpool kits out there, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree, but man, they are just lovely kits. Well within their right of being iconic, because my god, they are works of art, I might say. For the collar, I was between this one that I opted to go with and the collar they use on the England and Brazil shirts, but I ultimately opted for this option, which is very similar but doesn't include the flappy element of the other design, which I think works better with this design of shirt, to be honest. It could work, but normally the collar is the secondary colour, which would have been gold in this case, and I don't think that would have looked as good. So I think sticking with this collar, it works with the design of the shirt, and all in all, very solid. Still a nice collar, and I think I might be tooting my own horn here, but it's a very solid Liverpool shirt in my own opinion. Have they earned the right to use gold on a home shirt recently? No, quite frankly, but hey, it looks nice, so I'd let them have a pass in my humble opinion. The arbiter of football kits, I'd let them get a pass with the gold this time, because it looks nice. And then move on to Manchester City. For Man City, I went with a throwback design, which could be a throwback to a throwback. This design was inspired by City's 03-04 home shirt, which in turn looks to be inspired by their 83-85 home shirt. I think that a City shirt with light blue stripes just works, and I wish this was a design they revisited more often. I utilised a gradient design within the stripes to make the kit that much more exciting than just a few stripes. I added a diamond design on the back and sides to make the shirt that bit more interesting. I used some navy as the tertiary accent colour within the collar and the cuffs, which also helps break up the sky blue and white, which were becoming quite overpowering before I added this darker blue to the mix. I think I've managed to create quite a clean shirt for City, even if I do say so myself. It has the retro feel of the stripes from the older shirts, but also is much more modern in the design elements that they've gone with as well. So, all in all, City, you're welcome. Also got the Manchester Rose on the back because it's very nice. Even if it's red, it's still nice. And then move on to the other Manchester club, and Manchester United. Another Manchester club, and another retro-inspired design. I've always thought my United shirts looked best when they made use of black, so that's what I wanted to implement with this shirt. I utilised the pattern from their 1991 away shirt, and one that they've used more recently in their 17-18 away, as I think that's a brilliant design element, and I combined that with a similar gradient to their City rivals that goes from bottom to top. I finished everything off by adding some black stripes to the sleeve in a sort of half-tone gradient style, lines that get thinner as they go up, and, I think it looks nice. The black's not too overpowering. There's quite a few black elements on the shirt, but I think it works well with the red and the little bit yellow that's on there, so nice. I was torn between having the Adidas logo in black or in white, but I think the white works well. It's a good offset, and it stops the black being so overwhelming, as I just mentioned. And that is further balanced out by the white sponsor too. It's a nice blend of modern, the template, and retro, the design, in my opinion, and I think it works quite well. But I am the creator of the shirt, so I would be saying that. Newcastle. Newcastle have returned to Adidas after over a decade, so I need to create something really classy for the Magpies. The design is a blend of modern and retro styling, which all comes together to create a very cohesive shirt design. I went with a classic 3 black stripes down the front, which I made sure had a stripe down the middle that I could use to centre the Newcastle crest and Adidas logo. And then I opted to flank that middle stripe with 2 smaller stripes to add some pizzazz to the shirt as well. I thought the shirt looked a little plain, so I added this retro-esque pattern to the black stripes, which I think looks quite nice if I do say so myself. I'm also a fan of the light blue accent colour that Newcastle sometimes use, so I had to implement that here myself, and it looks wonderful. I'm very happy with how this turned out, to be honest. You know, it's got a right feeling of retro and modern, not based on any specific shirt. I think it looks lovely. Pat myself on the back for that one. Nottingham Forest. Now, I'll let you into a little secret here. I've been cooking this shirt for some time now. Forest's first season after returning to Adidas didn't go too well, as I suspected, so I wanted to ratify that by cooking up this beauty. I was a massive fan of the sublimated pattern that Fulham had on the home shirt last season, so I wanted to implement that here. It might be a bit unconventional by modern kit standards, but I loved the era from 92 to 96 where we had our crest in a shield on our shirts, so I thought it'd be apt to bring that back. And here we are. It works. It works wonderfully. All topped off with a lovely collar and that wave graphic on the back. I think it's fair to say I cooked here. Nottingham Forest are my club, so I put a lot of effort into making this the best shirt I possibly could. Just because I know the club more than I know these other clubs. Not to say I didn't put effort in, but I put a lot of effort into this one, and I think I created a beautiful shirt. Get us in this kit right now. We're winning the lot. And then move on to Southampton. Southampton have signed with Puma after a fairly solid few years under Hummel, and I thought it was about time the traditional stripes returned. So that's what I did. I went with 4 red stripes, each flanked by black lines, utilising more black on their kit than we saw last season. It's a very solid tertiary colour, man. You'd be silly not to use it. In an effort to make the red stripes more interesting, I went with this diamond pattern, whilst leaving the white elements blank. I think that sort of juxtaposition works really well. The crest and Puma logo have been centralised between their respective stripes as well, just make it look that bit more better, because when clubs have that attention to detail to their shirts, it really does elevate it a few steps, you know. We saw it recently, the Ipswich home shirt has one of the stars misaligned, and it doesn't look good. And also shirts that don't properly centralise their half and half designs or their crests within stripes, you know, it's not a big thing, but it can really make or break a shirt, to be honest. The sponsor is honking, there's not much I can do about that. All in all, I think I created a very solid shirt for Southampton. As much as I may not like them, they deserve a nice shirt at the very least. And then move on to Tottenham Hotspur. For Tottenham, I wanted to make something more unique than what we've had in recent years, especially on the home front. I went with a rare design for Spurs, as I utilised the very rarely seen sash, only using it once back in 15-16. I think it's a good way to make a shirt more interesting, and is criminally underused in the modern game, if I do say so myself. I went with a faint feather pattern throughout the white aspects of the shirt, as a reference to, well, the chicken in Chicken Ball FC. I opted for a paintbrush style effect within the sash as a reference to the lesser known art around North London. You know, they're very known for their music scene, but there's a little art scene there as well, which deserves a bit of credit. And I wanted to represent that here in the best way I could. And I did the unthinkable. I changed the colour of their sponsor so that it better fit in with the colour scheme of the home shirt. 1, why don't AIA do this already? And 2, having it in your rival's colours is a bit of an L. Let's be real. I also put a bit more yellow on there than you normally see on the home shirts, because I think yellow looks nice on a Spurs shirt, so I had to have a bit here as well. And I think it's nice, you know, it's very striking, the yellow on the kit, but I think it works well. It's not too overpowering and doesn't look out of place, so I'm going to pat myself on the back for that one as well. And then move on to West Ham United. Now, when it comes to a West Ham shirt, I think they look better with stripes. But it's not a design that they've really experimented with recently. This shirt takes inspiration from their 97-99 home shirt, in which they utilised different shades of claret for some lovely stripes, which is what I've tried to do here. Between the thicker stripes, I opted to implement some thinner stripes as well, which I think makes for a very nice design, and adds some flavour to what would be your bog standard stripes. I went with 2 water-themed patterns on the body and the sleeves of the shirt that represent the rivers that surround their home in the London Stadium, which of course make their way back to the mighty Thames. Topped all off with a classic collar to further link back to those shirts from the late 90s, with their logo from the 20s present on the back to tie everything together. That's the 1920s, by the way, not the 2020s. They could use this logo though, it does look pretty sick, I wouldn't lie. But yeah, I think it ties everything together with a more blue design with a claret secondary colour on that old badge. Lovely stuff from myself. Of course, sponsor's bad, but we know that at this point, we can't change that. We just have to do with it what we can. And finally, Wolverhampton Wanderers. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think the Wolves logo is one of the best when it comes to working it into a design. And it's a shame that Wolves haven't tried to implement the design into more of their shirts recently. So that's what I want to do here. I've opted to go with an alternating pattern containing the Wolves badge. It's more of a simple design compared to some of my designs here, but I think it works really well. I think that most of Wolves' design elements are cheat codes. You know, they've got a class colour scheme and a cool badge, but are normally let down by their sponsors, with the same unfortunately happening here. Not counting that sponsor though, I think I've created a pretty nice design for myself. It is not really a retro shirt, it's definitely more of a modern shirt within the design elements I've chosen. And all in all, I think I've created a very solid shirt for Wolves here. And with all my shirts, really, I think I've created very nice shirts for each of the 20 teams in the Premier League. If you'd like to see me do away shirts, leave a like and comment down below. If you think I've done better than what the Premier League teams actually received this season, then please comment down below which team you think I've done better than. Personally, the Nottingham Forest shirt I created is my personal favourite, but you may have different ideas. You may think, you know, oh, maybe City got a better shirt than what I created. You'd be wrong, but that's your opinion. So yeah, leave a comment detailing that below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.